All right, guys. Today we're going to be talking about non-duality. Um, I want to address something that I've been paying attention to, and that is people that are trying to dissuade you from the idea of non-duality because they can't see a practical use for it. And I'm here to explain that if you truly understood from experience, not from what you're reading in books, but from experience, you would understand the practicality of living it right away. Now, what am I saying? What I'm saying is, when you realize you are connected to everything and that it is your state of being that is on display, and that there are 7 mirrors minimum of which can be patterned in different ways, all of which show you inside of yourself. And in every moment in the present, you are being helped to understand yourself as a whole, not as a 1% body that is just the tool that you use to see into yourself, but as a whole being. Meaning that if you have an unresolved mom or dad issue, that might come up. If you've have things that you haven't resolved, or you've behaved in a way that was less than kind, all of these things have a way of coming back to you in the form of other people, places, and things so you can see inside your consciousness. It is the most useful thing in the world because it's the one element in your life that actually brings heaven and earth into a usable, practical way of being. It eliminates a lot. It eliminates hatred. It eliminates fear. It eliminates anger. Um, it helps you have clarity because from the lower 3D perspective, if I'm not taking in my spirit side, right, then I might consider myself a victim of 3D. I might not understand what's being shown, or I might not even recognize my own behavior in the moment. See, we're instructed practically in the Gospel of Thomas, we're instructed practically to apply this and do unto others as we do unto ourselves. Why? Because that is the automatic safeguard against things coming back and blowing up in your face. To be unkind to someone is really unkindness to yourself. To treat someone badly because they don't appear to be as you are is an attack on yourself. You see, your body is simply a tool from which you use to see every aspect of your being. And technically, if you're really good and you understand source perspective, what you're seeing is infinite movies of yourself at all times, all different versions of you that represent a state of being. And the bodies are simply illusions that you use to see through them. Now, I realize that sounds crazy to people that have never heard of it or that don't understand how to practically make it. But yesterday, I was talking to my friend Megan, and she said to me, Cindy, no one describes things the way that you do. Not the books, not the high level spiritual gurus. People need to hear what you have to say before they get dissuaded the wrong, they taken down the wrong rabbit hole. For example, if I were to say that being non-dual isn't practical, when in fact it's the key to peace, yeah, I'm not talking about a non-duality that isn't involved in 3D. I'm talking about a non-duality that explains everything in your 3D window so that you're not confused by what's happening at any given moment. That you're not resisting the flow of life, you actually understand it for what it is. And it is very practical. It's different. It's a different view. It's a higher level view. It's as if you graduate from caterpillar to butterfly and are able to see finally from a larger and higher perspective what is actually happening at any given moment. You see, the Bible says, let us make mankind in our image. And until you understand what it's saying, you don't get it. The Bible is one of the most helpful books in the world because it is a non-dual literature. And when it's explained this way, we are given freedom, a freedom like no other. However, when it isn't explained this way, we are in a state of confusion in which nothing is as it appears to be. Your state of perception, if it is not healed and dealt with, is actually deciding who and what you see. It's actually determining whether or not you treat someone well. You see, when you understand that everything is you, you're not trying to defend against it. And if you have resolved the wounds within your body, the emotional healing that goes from growing up, then you have a very different perspective on what's happening. However, if you don't, then the darkness that you see outside is your own shadow, and it needs to be dealt with. I am not a simple love and light and let's ignore and spiritually bypass reality. That's not who I am. It's not who I will ever be. In fact, I'm like, no, the shortcut is in the present moment. Let's dive into it. Let's look at it, examine it, and understand it for what it is. And it will always be, as long as it's coming from your eyes, you. Whatever you see, this entire planet, this universe, and everything in it is simply a mirror of your consciousness. Every single human being you see is that. There are many different versions, many different ways in which this can be expressed. And the bodies are simply placeholders. Now, I'm not saying that everything isn't divine. In fact, everything is divine. And when you do understand it, the only thing you see is God. There is nothing else. It's consciousness. Whether you're looking at a cactus, a bed, drinking a cup of water, or looking at a fellow human being, be she or he, black, white, Asian, Latin, all one and the same thing. Doesn't matter. It's the same, an infinite expression of your state of being. And those things are attracted to you based on who you are being in the moment. A lot of the times, you will see several different things. And I think the one that trips people up the most are their triggers. Herein lies your shortcut. If something bothers you, it's either because you are unwilling to look at what has hurt you in the past, you don't want to deal with it, or have a problem that you haven't resolved and refuse to look at it, so you retaliate in anger. A lot of times things aren't what they seem. And being able to recognize these triggers for what they are makes a difference in your life. Because if you heal them, they have no need to reappear. And by heal, let me be clear. You are already perfectly whole. You are already everything at once. You are already the universe. You are already healed. But it is what the ego holds on to. It is what the ego doesn't understand. It is what the ego defends against that needs healing, needs releasing. It needs to be understood from a higher level perspective. Oftentimes, we're looking at our history, generational. We're looking at a few things that we feel we have lost along our way. We're looking at various compulsive behaviors that we have. We're looking at our instant karma if we've treated someone differently. We're looking at so many different aspects of ourselves. And here is the trick: you can't forget that everything is a state of being and that people simply mirror these things back to you so you can understand yourself. Non duality is very practical, it can be used every day. And if you keep on learning from me, you will understand heaven and earth to be in you right now, to be something that is all around you. You will be able to see through the shadow we once cast. I want you to remember something before I leave you, and that is that a person filled with light shines on the whole world. But a person who spews darkness is the darkness that they are seeing. Sit with that, think about that, and I will be back creating these short videos that spoon feeds you non duality bit by bit. Thank you.